Have you ever walked in the door after a long day and you were absolutely determined to be calm? You were determined to be patient, and then within just a few minutes, you reacted to something like it was a 5-alarm fire. Maybe it was spilled milk. Maybe it was the volume in the house. Maybe it was that one more question when you had nothing left in the tank. The worst part about this is that it wasn't really about the mess, right? The worst part is that you immediately feel that pit in your stomach because you know you just gave your family the sharp version of you, not the best version of you. Welcome to beabossdad.com. My name is Joel Haasenritter, and I help high-achieving dads scale their business without failing their family. And in this video, I'm going to give you a system, not a big motivational speech, but a practical system. Because once you have a system, you can stop hoping you'll respond, and you can start training yourself to respond. If you've ever been in that moment, realizing that you lashed out instead of providing a safe space, I want you to hear me before we go any further. You're not a bad dad. You're not broken. You're probably not angry by nature. Most of the time, what's happening is that you're experiencing something that I call an identity conflict. You're trying to shift from hard-charging entrepreneur mode to patient, present dad mode in 5 seconds flat. And that's really hard to do, not because you're weak, but because you don't have a system. Let me talk to the dad who is doing a lot of things right. You provide, you lead, and you take responsibility seriously. And somewhere along the way, you started giving your best energy at work and your leftovers at home. And that's what I call the guilt sandwich. I've talked about it in prior videos. You feel guilty at work because you missed the game. Then when you finally get to the game, you feel guilty because you're thinking about the email. Your body is in one place and your mind is in another. And if you've ever sat at the dinner table while your kid is talking and you realize you have no idea what they just said because you were replaying a conversation from work, you know exactly what I mean. You're there, but you're not there. If you've felt trapped, overwhelmed, chaotic, short-tempered, or like you're constantly disappointing someone, you're exactly who I made this video for. Because the promise of being a boss dad is simple. Scale your business without failing your family. And today's not a productivity video. This is a leadership video. It's about emotional self-regulation. It's about building pause. It's about learning to respond. Let's get on the same page with this and make sure we're talking about the same thing. Reacting is automatic. It's fast. It's unfiltered. It's your nervous system deciding before your values get a vote. Reacting is what happens when you're tired and you're hungry, you're overworked, you're overstimulated, and you feel like you're losing control. So your body says, protect me, and your mouth moves before your heart catches up. Responding is different. Responding is chosen. It can be firm. It can still set boundaries, right? It can still be decisive, but responding is guided by the man you want to be, not by the moment that you're stuck in. And the typical trap for high-achieving dads is this. At work, reacting is often rewarded. Speed is rewarded. Being always on is rewarded. Fixing it now is rewarded. But at home, reacting doesn't build results. It burns connection. So a lot of dads are winning money and losing moments. And I want you to hear this with compassion because that's how it's meant. This is not mainly a motivation problem. This is mainly a systems problem. If you keep walking into your home with your nervous system still in fight or flight mode, you're walking in as a stressed operator. You're not walking in as a strategic shepherd. So we're going to install a buffer. We're going to install a pause. We're going to install a new default. But first, let me zoom out for a second because this is not just a dad at home issue. This is an overall leadership issue. If you own a business or you lead a team, you already know what I'm talking about. Some weeks the market shifts and you feel it in your stomach. You feel it in your gut. A customer is upset and it feels personal. A support ticket comes in at the worst time possible. Your team is building, the pressure's on, and everything inside of you wants to sprint, to fix, and to control. And listen, that impulse is not because you're a bad leader necessarily, because that's partly what gets rewarded. It's because you care, and it's because you're carrying responsibility. But if you react in your business all day and then you try to turn it off at the front door, you're going to keep bringing that same heat home. So in just a second, I'm going to show you what responding looks like in the real world, in market conditions, in customer support, in what you build, and in how you support your team. Because when you learn to respond as an owner, it becomes a lot easier to respond as a dad. Let me give you the business owner version of this, because responding versus reacting is not just a dad at home skill. It's a business owner entrepreneurship skill too. When you're the owner, you get hit from 3 sides at once. The market shifts, customers are asking for things, and your team is building the plane while it's still in the air. And when that pressure stacks up, reacting can feel like leadership. It feels decisive. It feels fast. It feels like you're on it. But a lot of the time, it's not leadership. It's really just anxiety with authority. So let me show you what responding looks like when you are the business owner, when you're the entrepreneur. When the market shifts, first, don't panic. Just pause and get clear. Don't start, aimlessly wandering around and going in a million different directions. Don't discount your price out of fear. Don't pivot the whole business every week just to feel relief for an hour. Because the moment you lead like that, you don't create stability. What you create is whiplash, and your team feels it first. So slow it down and ask better questions. Ask, what is actually true right now? Ask, what do we control? And ask, what is the next right move? That is responding. Let's talk about your customers, because customer support is one of the fastest places to lose your footing. When someone is frustrated, it feels personal, right? Especially if you're the one creating the product. When something breaks, it feels like it's all on you. And if you're not careful, you'll let the loudest voice set the agenda. Don't build your business around whoever is the most upset. That's reacting. Reacting turns support into a fire drill culture. When everything is urgent, you get chaos. When every issue becomes a one-off, you build debt. And when you promise things you can't deliver, you create disappointment. So respond instead. Treat support like what it really is. Treat it like a product signal. Treat it like a relationship moment. Treat it like a culture test. And start practicing sentences that create calm and trust. You can say, I hear you. Here is what we're going to do next. Here is the timeline. That is not corporate jargon. That's true leadership. Calm creates trust, and trust keeps customers with you even when things aren't perfect. Here's another big one. Everyone says, listen to what the customer wants. And I did a video on this as well. You have to have that voice and the ability to hear your customers, but don't react to every request. Customers are great at describing pain. They're not always great at prescribing the right solution. So build a system that translates the requests into real priorities. If you react to every request, you build a Frankenstein product. If you ignore every request, you build in a vacuum. So respond with a filter. Listen for the problem behind the request. Look for patterns and validate it across multiple customers. Then solve the root problem in a way that fits your strategy. You could ask, is this a one-person preference or a repeating pattern? Does this move customers toward the transformation that we promise? Will this reduce support load over time or increase it? Don't run a feature roadmap. Run an outcome roadmap. Solve for the problem. And then finally, let's talk about your team, because this is the part that most owners ignore. Your team is not only building the product, your team is carrying your nervous system too. So stop exporting stress. Stop making the whole company feel your urgency. When you react, you teach the team something, even if you never say it out loud. You teach them that everything is urgent. You teach them that priorities change based on mood. You teach them that bad news is dangerous. You teach them that heroics are the standard. Instead of that, lead differently. Respond in a way that makes the room feel safe and focused. Protect that focus. Protect the clarity. Protect the work cycle. Don't dump a heated customer conversation on the team and make it their emotional problem. Instead, translate chaos into priorities. Take the pressure off the room, because that's what leadership is. Don't add intensity, add clarity. So the real point is this: don't build a business that runs on adrenaline. Build a business that runs on systems, because systems let you lead well, serve well, and still come home with something left for the people that you love. That's what responding looks like as an owner. So here's the reality. You can handle the pressure at work in most cases. You can problem solve, you can lead, you can carry it, but your nervous system doesn't magically reset just because you pulled into the driveway. So you walk into your home still in fix-it mode, still in protect-it mode, still in the go, go, go mode, and then your family does what families do. They need you. They ask questions, they make noise, they spill things, and suddenly you're not reacting to the moment in front of you. You're reacting to everything you carried in with you. So before I give you the tools, I want you to understand why your brain won't shut it off, because understanding this is what stops the self-blame. Most high-achieving dads are carrying these open loops, and I've talked about this before as well. An open loop is anything that's incomplete. It's the email that you didn't answer, the decision that you didn't make, the conversation you're avoiding, the number you keep replaying in your head. Your brain is not trying to sabotage your family. Your brain is trying to protect your business. It's a problem-solving machine, and if you don't give it a clear shutdown cue, it just keeps running the algorithm. So you walk into your home with that work residue still all over you. It's like you came home covered in sawdust, except it's mental sawdust. And then your family needs you, and you have no capacity. Not because you don't care, but because you're carrying too much. That's why the adage of just be present isn't really helpful advice. It tells a man to do something without giving him a method. So let me give you a method. Here's the framework. This will help to anchor everything that we do in this video. Responding instead of reacting equals 4 things. First, a pause. Second, a physiology shift. Third, an identity decision. And fourth, a script. In other words, you don't just try harder. You insert space between stimulus and response. You calm the body so the brain can think. You decide who you are about to be, and then you choose words that lead with connection and not conflict. This is what we do as boss dads. We build processes, we build operating systems, so let's build one for your evening. Tool number 1 is the foundation. That foundational tool is the CEO to dad transition ritual, and I've talked about this before in a previous video, so I'll just overview it here, but it's so important to nail. This is the buffer between your two worlds. This is how you land the plane before you walk into your home. And hear me clearly on this. If you do nothing else from this video, do this. Because when you change your entry, you change your evening. This ritual has 3 steps, and I'll put a link to the previous video that I did with the full rundown. But it's the 3 Ds. It's disconnect, decompress, and declare. Disconnect means you close that loops that we were talking about. Before you leave work or before you walk out of your home office, do a 30 to 60 second brain dump. You can put it in your Notion database. You can put it in a notebook. You can put it in a voice memo. The point is not perfection, so get that out of your head. The point is parking the mental load that you're carrying. Then you write down tomorrow's top 1 to 3 priorities. Not all of them, your top 1 to 3 priorities. And then say it out loud, because your nervous system needs a cue. Work is parked. Family is priority now. That sentence is a boundary. That sentence is a shutdown. That sentence is you choosing your legacy. Step number 2 is to decompress. Decompress means to shift your physiology. You can't think your way into calm if your body is still in fight or flight mode. So you breathe slowly on purpose. A simple option is box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. And do that for 3 or 4 rounds. While you do it, drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, relax your hands, and if you want an extra physical cue, wash your face or change your clothes as you shift roles, because tactile cues tell your brain we're switching roles now. Number 3 is to declare. Declare means you choose your identity before the chaos chooses it for you. You're going to walk into your home as somebody, so decide who it is. Say it out loud. I am a patient, playful, and attentive dad. Then set the micro intention. For the next hour, phones are down, eyes are up, and if you're married, this is a beautiful thing to do. Just send that one simple text. I'm walking in now to be with you. That one text has saved more evenings than most dads realize, because it forces alignment and it forces follow through. And then you walk in and you run one simple rule for the first 10 minutes. Connection first, not logistics. Your phone goes in the landing zone. Your eyes go to your people. Your body gets on their level. If you have small kids, get on the floor with them. And instead of grilling them or fixing them, you lead with one curious question. What made you smile today? Or tell me one thing that you learned. Or what was the hardest part of your day? And then you do the hardest part for a lot of dads. You stay for the answer and you simply listen. That's presence. Presence isn't a vibe. Presence is behavior. Presence is a decision. Now, what about the moments when you're already triggered? Because real life doesn't always wait for you to run a ritual, right? The house gets loud. Somebody talks back. Your spouse is stressed. Your kid is melting down, and you can feel your fuse just shortening. That's where tool number 2 comes in. And it's an acronym for STOP. It's simple, but it's powerful because it interrupts that automatic reaction. S is stop. You freeze. You don't speak yet. You don't send the irate text. You don't raise your voice. You just simply pause. T is to take a step back. You take one breath, and if you can, you literally take one step back. That creates safe space. O is observe. Observe your body. Name what you're feeling. Notice the story that you're telling yourself. Maybe the story is, they don't respect me. Maybe the story is, I have to control this. Maybe the story is, I can't handle one more thing. But the truth might simply be that I'm overwhelmed. P is for proceed mindfully. You choose the response that matches the father you declared that you are. And because dads need words and not theory, let me give you a few scripts that you can actually say. If your kid is escalating, you can say, hey, buddy, I can see you're upset. I'm going to take a breath, and then we'll solve this together. If you're feeling yourself getting sharp, you can say, hey, I'm getting frustrated here, and I'm not going to talk like that. So give me 10 seconds or 10 minutes, and I'll be right back. If you need a boundary, you could say, I love you, and I'm not saying yes to that tone. Let's try this again when we can have mutual respect for each other. That's responding. That's calm. It's clear. It's connected, and yet it's still strong. So let me set you free with something that may take some weight off of your shoulders. The reality is, we're all human. You will miss sometimes. I have and do. You will react sometimes. I have and do. The win is not perfection. The win is repair. A strategic shepherd repairs quickly, and the repair is not complicated. Here's the sentence. I didn't respond well just now. I'm sorry. Yes, apologize. I'm here now. Can we reset? Then soften your face, lower your voice, offer a hug if it's appropriate, and model what leadership looks like when it makes a mistake. Repair isn't weakness. Repair is emotional safety. Repair is how you teach your kids that connection can be restored, because your home culture is being formed every day, not by your intentions, but by your patterns. Let's go one layer deeper, because for a lot of high-achieving dads, reacting isn't just stress, it's actually fear. It's that provider pressure trap. It's the voice that says, if I slow down, we lose. If I say no, I fail. If I'm not available, everything falls apart. So you carry your business on your nervous system, and then you bring that nervous system home. Here's the reframe. The most valuable thing you provide is not money. The most valuable thing you provide is the experience of who you are to those who matter the most. Your kids won't remember your revenue. They'll remember whether you were safe. They'll remember whether you listened. They'll remember whether you repaired. That's the legacy on investment. That's the LOI. And this is hopeful, not heavy, because it means this is trainable. This is buildable. You can become the dad whose spouse and kids light up when you walk in, not because life got easy, but because they know you built a safe space for them. All right, let's hit a real question, because I know some of you are thinking it right now. Okay, Joel, what if I'm not the one reacting? What if my spouse is the one reacting? First, let me say this with a lot of respect. You can't control another adult. You can't regulate for them. You can't logic them into calm. And if you try, you'll end up in the same trap you're trying to escape, which is reacting to their reaction. So the question shifts from how do I fix my spouse to how do I lead myself? How do I protect the culture of my home and invite a better outcome? Here's the first move. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. A thermometer just reflects the temperature. A thermostat sets it. When your spouse is escalated, your job is not to match the energy. Your job is to stay grounded. That means you run the same framework that we've just been talking about. You start with a pause. You take a breath. You check your own story. Because if your story is they're just disrespecting me, you're going to react. But if your story is they're overwhelmed, you're going to respond. And the second move, name the mission out loud, but do it gently. You could say, hey, I want us to be on the same team right now. Or I'm not against you. I'm for us. Or I can feel this is getting heated. I want to slow it down so we don't say something that we're going to regret. And this is important. You're not saying that to win. Okay, hear that. You're not saying that to win. You're saying that to protect connection. The third move is to set a boundary without punishment. If things are escalating, you could say, I want to talk about this and I'm going to, but I'm not willing to do it at this volume. Can we take 10 minutes and come back? Or I'm going to step away for a moment to calm down and then I'm coming back. This is a strategic shepherd move. That's a boss dad move. You're not abandoning the conversation. You're preventing damage. The fourth move is to go for repair and timing, not victory. A lot of couples fight at the worst possible time, and I have been so guilty of this. When you're hungry and you're tired, it's at the end of the day, kids are running around everywhere, phones are buzzing, and no one has any capacity. So if you can, push the conversation into a better container. That might look like saying, can we talk after bedtime? Or can we do a 10-minute family sync this Sunday and actually get all of us aligned? And then here's a simple connection script that you can use that lowers defensiveness fast. Help me understand what you need from me right now. Not what's your problem, not why are you like this. Just help me understand what you need. Finally, let me say one more thing, because this matters for real families. If there is emotional abuse, intimidation, or you feel unsafe, this is not a communication tip situation. You need to get support and wise counsel. Seek professional help. Your home should be a place of safety. But for everyday stress reactions, the path is the same. Regulate yourself first. Respond with leadership. Invite alignment. Create better containers for hard conversations. And remember, the goal is not to win the moment. The goal is to build a culture your family can breathe in. So let's make this super practical and measurable. Here's your 48-hour experiment. For the next 2 days, do 3 things. First, run the 3D ritual before you walk in the door. Second, put your phone in the landing zone for the first 10 minutes. Third, use stop 1 time, even if it's messy. Then at the end of the night, write 1 sentence. My presence moment today was, and fill in that blank. That's how you build momentum. That's how you train your brain. That's how you become consistent. Listen, my fellow boss dads, you do not need to choose between winning at work and winning at home. You need an operating system. And if you want help installing it, join the 5-Day Boss Dad Challenge. 1 hour each day for 5 days of short, practical wins. We run through the entire Boss Dad framework. That's balanced owner, strategic shepherd, and you'll walk away with an actual framework for scaling your business without failing your family. Go to beabossdad.com, or you can click the link in the description below. And if you want accountability, drop a comment that says, I'm choosing to respond, because that sentence is a declaration, and declarations change outcomes. And that, my friends, is how you go from reacting to responding and creating a safe space for connection and growth. My name is Joel Haasenritter. Win at business, win at life, be a boss dad.